So everybody's relieved that the U.S. Supreme Court issued an injunction staying the flawed abortion pill ruling by Texas federal court judge Matthew Kasmarek in an opinion that was supported by all 3 Trump appointees to the court. But what shouldn't be surprising is you should see the dissent, written by Alito and signed onto by Thomas. Let's talk about it in today's video. Hi, I'm Mike Greiner. I'm a lifelong Democratic activist who's concerned about the direction our country is taking. I'm also a lawyer and an academic, and I'm going to help you stand up to the BS of the MAGA crowd. So we all know about the outrageous decision issued by Texas federal court judge Matthew Kasmarek, in which he stopped the approval of the abortion pill mifepristone. I think I pronounced that incorrectly, but I'm doing my best. At any rate, this is a pill that has been used successfully for over 20 years and is generally regarded as safe and effective. Despite this, in a blatantly political opinion, Kasmarek decided he was going to simply ignore all the experts and decide that he knows better, because of course he's a federal judge. Doesn't matter he has no medical training, but that's beside the point. That ruling was then appealed to the Fifth Circuit, who stayed parts of it, but not other parts, in an equally bizarre decision that seemed to kind of say, well, we like some things about his decision, but don't like other things. This, of course, was a ruling issued by 2 Trump-appointed judges. Then we have the latest twist, where it gets appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court, where the court stays the decision until it can wind its way through all the appeals. That means that the abortion pill will remain available to people for the foreseeable future. And hopefully, once this whole issue gets resolved by the Supreme Court, it will remain available permanently. But this just shows the lengths that the MAGA crowd will go to try to deny women access to needed health care. I mean, this is not some small issues. Over half of all abortions performed in the United States at this point are done with the assistance of the pills. So the fact that they were either being denied access to them, as Matthew Kasmarek wanted to do, or at least make it incredibly difficult for them to access it the way the Fifth Circuit wanted to do, should be a major public health concern for all women and anybody in the country who cares about women. But if you thought that this action by the Supreme Court wouldn't give us more evidence of the fact that it's become nothing more than a partisan cesspool, you would be wrong. Because despite the fact that you had the 3 liberals, joined by the Chief Justice and the 3 Trump appointees, in deciding to block this opinion, Justices Alito and Thomas went completely off the deep end. The opinion was authored by Alito, of course, who's made a name for himself as being a bitter enemy of all women in the United States. And his opinion reflects that, showing that he has absolutely no concern for the health of women and doesn't believe that the fact they could be denied access to the abortion pill is anything approaching the kind of harm that should be prevented by this type of injunction. But that's not even the most outrageous part of his decision. The basis for him claiming that the court should not enjoin this order is the argument that he made that, well, the federal government won't pay attention to the order anyway. An absolutely outrageous and baseless assertion. You see, the standard for granting an injunction requires 2 elements. Number 1, that there has to be some kind of irreparable harm that will occur if the injunction is not issued. Well, Alito gets around that by saying, well, the potential risk that women carry doesn't matter. And to the extent that there is any potential harm that could come to them, the government isn't going to enforce the court's ruling anyway. That statement is absolutely without any basis in fact, and it's completely inconsistent with the behavior of this administration in the past. Name one time this administration has simply disregarded a lawful order of a court. It just doesn't exist. Frankly, if he wants to find examples of elected officials ignoring court orders, they should look to Ohio and how they've ignored the court orders to end gerrymandering. But that's a story for another video. But beyond that, that isn't even a valid legal argument. I mean, courts have to operate in a world in which they assume their orders are going to be followed. If they don't, why issue orders at all? Why should they operate at all? So the fact that Alito is making this, number 1, baseless allegation without any factual support whatsoever, but that he's making it to support a contention that shouldn't even be a consideration of the court, just shows how completely he disdains the law. which is really something kind of disturbing when you think about a Supreme Court justice. I mean, you would think Supreme Court justices should care about the law and should care about the integrity of their institution. I think the ship on that point has already sailed with Clarence Thomas, obviously, but Alito has just shown the level to which conservatives view courts as nothing more than partisan political bodies, and has demonstrated clearly, once again, why Americans have overwhelmingly lost faith in the highest court in the land. Well, if you want to see another video where I point out who was the Supreme Court leaker, and hint, hint, it's Alito, by the way, check out this video over here. I'll see you then. In the meantime, let's hope for continued progress. Thank you.